So for the dust collection system in my shop, I chose to go with 6-inch diameter HVAC ducting, and this stuff actually works really well, and it's cheaper than PVC. This ducting comes in 5-foot sections, so there is some cutting that you need to do to make sure that the lengths are the right length that you need in your shop. So I just used some HVAC ducting snips to do this. You'll find those in the same aisle at your home center. And the ducting just kind of snaps together, and it's actually really easy to work with. This is the first time I've ever used it, and it was surprisingly simple. Here I'm using a 90-degree elbow for one of the transitions in my shop. I know that 90 degrees isn't ideal, but later on I figured out a way to make two 90s into a 45. So once you've got your section all cut and put together, you do have to tape the seams with this foil HVAC ducting tape. I'm pretty sure that this ducting is not airtight, so taping the seams will ensure that you don't lose any air to leaks in your system. So next I added that section that I just taped up to the section that was actually coming out of my dust collector. And of course, once you put the sections together, you have to tape them. I used this metal strapping to hold the ducting system to the ceiling of my shop, and it worked really well. And so here's some time-lapse footage of me just adding more sections of ducting, taping them, and strapping them to the ceiling. There's a lot of up and down the ladder when you're doing this. So in case you were wondering, the collector at the heart of my system here is just an old Total Shop dust collector that I purchased used off of Craigslist. It's a 2-horsepower single stage dust collector. Nothing fancy, but as you'll see, it works really well with this ducting. So here I added the first Y to the system, and this is what will eventually branch off and go over to my jointer on the other side of the shop. This Y is for the drop that goes to my bandsaw and my table saw. And so here I'm adding another elbow to the branch of the Y that is going to be the drop to try and make it as straight as possible. And of course, lots of tape. You've got to tape up all those seams. I'm using these plastic blast gates that I had from my old shop, and I decided to go ahead and modify them and make them self-cleaning. So what I did was kind of cut the bottom off so that the opening, where the gate opens and closes, is visible. And so when you close the gate, any dust that's trapped in there will be pushed out. But of course that leaves a compromise in your system with air that can get in. So I took a piece of painter's tape and taped it over the edge and made a flap out of it so that when the dust collector is working, it will suck that flap up against the hole and seal it. This wasn't my idea. It's actually something I got from Jay Bates, and it works really, really well. And with the blast gates installed and my bandsaw and table saw hooked up, it's time to hang more ducting. It's really just a rinse and repeat kind of thing. Cut your ducting to length, add it to the existing ducting, tape it, and keep going. So here I'm taking two of those 90-degree elbows and making a 45-degree bend out of them. And this is going to be for the drop that goes to my planer. So again, as you can see, I made the transition and now I'm taping up all those seams. To get to the 4-inch diameter flex hose that I have, I'm using a couple of reducers, a 6-inch to 5-inch and then a 5-inch to 4-inch. It turns out that they do sell a 6-inch to 4-inch reducer. However, when I bought my supplies, they didn't have any in stock, and I wasn't aware that they even made them. So in order to connect these together, I had to cut those tabs in the 5-inch diameter section of the 5 to 4 reducer and bend them in a little bit so that they would fit inside of the 5-inch section of the 6-inch to 5-inch reducer. And so from there I can go from 6 inches to 4 inches and attach my flex hose to it that will run to my tool. And once I got everything taped up, I went and just pushed those tabs flat again to, I guess, reduce the constriction of the airflow. And here you can see that the flex hose fits over that 4-inch section really easily. And you can install your blast gate and hook it up to your tool. And now for a quick test. I blocked off the Y that was going over to my jointer so that it would be closed, and I tried planing a board. I actually sent this through a couple of times, and usually in my old shop when I used my planer, chips would get stuck in that dust chute, and it would never suck all of them up. So here I am turning the dust collector off, and we're going to go over and see what's left inside of that chute. And as you can see, nothing at all. It sucked everything up. So I'm really happy with how this thing is working out. So here I am just continuing to install the ducting, and this is the run that is going to go over to my jointer. And here I am again installing the 45-degree transition that I made out of the two 90-degree elbows. And like I said, this is the run that is going to go over to the jointer. So here I am attaching the flex hose to the jointer and the blast gate, and we're going to give this guy a test as well. So you'll see in a minute here, turning on the dust collector now, and you can see all of those chips and shavings on the floor by my jointer. This is from a milling session that I did before I had the dust collection hooked up to it. And I stuck a piece of plywood on top of those chips, which you'll see in a minute, to sort of see how many new chips were falling out of the jointer with the dust collection hooked up to it. And you can see that it's minimal, very, very few. So I am quite happy with the performance of this system.